Hello, and welcome back to the channel. As you can see here, the start of another Jersey Quest franchise mode. So that's going to quickly kind of do player, jersey, kind of, and all that good stuff. So, yeah, see, we're here in NHL 22 with the New York Islanders. So, in terms of the player, we look at, we're going to go, turn that off, go to defense. And over here and see Andy Greene here, who could play either as a left or right defenseman, plus most careers as a left defenseman. He plays a 1,000th game, 21-22 season, so you're probably wondering, potentially, like, why did we skip over on a right wing and goalie again? Because our last franchise mode was our Derek Brassard one, so you would think the next one would be a right winger. But kind of going through, their first right winger to play over 1,000 plus games that was one time an Islander was Miroslav Satan, who obviously had done his a while back, his Silver Sick uh, franchise mode, or I guess it was probably BGM mode or Dynasty mode or whatever in NHL 09. And then goalie, the next goalie would have been Tommy Sala, who we also have already done and went for and failed. So we'll probably kind of cycle through them all before we get back to do a second go at Tommy Sala. So the next up is left defenseman again, which is Andy Greene. Played 1,057 games in his career. Most of them obviously with the New Jersey Devils, but played a couple of seasons with the Islanders. Obviously during our two kind of conference final runs, and then obviously this last season here, where he plays the 1,000th game on November 15th I think it was a loss against the Lightning. So yeah, that's the players. The player, obviously, as I said, Andy Greene jersey is going to be the away jersey because we were at the Lightning, obviously. So in that game, so we were in the away jerseys. In terms of, I guess let's look at his. I guess last checks his thing is pinch. I'm actually just going to put this in my little spreadsheet here. Where's Andy Greene? Bam. Okay, so his preference is pinch and cycle. Okay, so I just had that down now for future reference. But yeah, so what was the expectations for this first season? Obviously, this is the year post the two conference final runs that we had, like UBS Arena Open and all that kind of stuff. So we had like a really bad start to the season and ended up missing the playoffs, which got Barry Trotz fired at the end of the season. So kind of assuming things kind of follow a similar pattern, we should miss the playoffs with them. Might mean this be a one season one because he's 38 and on the last year of his contract. So he probably end up retiring at the end of the season, but we'll see. Maybe we can sneak into the playoffs and go into Miracle Cup run. But if not, kind of, again, it is what it is. Because when we get to like redoing ones we've like failed, when it gets to these older players, it might spice things up depending on how, in order to kind of increase chances of success and stuff, but we'll see. But yeah, I don't think there's very much else to say. So obviously Andy Greene's the player, played a 1,000 game in the away jersey, and we're probably going to miss the playoffs this year, but in a couple seconds, when I stop talking and then start talking again, it'll be at the 21-22 recap point, and we'll see if, in fact, we do miss the playoffs, and if we don't, how far we end up going in the playoffs. Okay, so here we are after the 21-22 season. So let's get into it. So as you see, we finished the 42-32-8 record, so much better than Islanders actually finished with, which was good for 92 points and third in the Metro. Goals for per game was 3.02, goals against 2.93. As you can see here, our leading scorer was Matt Barzal with 70 points. Andy Greene finished with 6 goals, 12 assists, 18 points, and a +4, so pretty solid stuff. So then obviously the playoffs, because we made the playoffs, took the tree. You can see here we got matchup against our arch rivals, the New York Rangers, in round 1. They won the first 2 games 1-0 and 5-0. They won game 3 4-2. Rangers then took a 3-1 series lead, the 2-0 win in game 4. But we won the next 3 2-1, 5-4, and 5-4 to advance in 7, face the Carolina Hurricanes. We won game 1 4-1. They won the next 2 4-2 and 5-0. We tied the series up at 2-1 with a 1-0 win in game 4. And then they kind of shellacked us 6-3 in game 5 and finished us off in game 6 with a 3-2 win. So, yeah, we're, obviously we did better than the Islanders did that season because we made the playoffs, made it to the second round, but not good enough to win the cup. In terms of playoff scoring, leading scorers were Josh Bailey and Kyle Palmieri, each had 8 points. Andy Greene, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points, pretty solid stuff at a +1, so not bad. As you can tell, because Andy Greene's still looking at all the stats stuff, he didn't retire, so we are going to have one more season. He signed a 1-year, I think like $1 million contract, so we have one more year. As you probably saw on the playoff screen, the Golden Knights won the Cup. President's Trophy went to the Florida Panthers, finished with 115 points. And Vegas, as you kind of also probably saw, beat the Hurricanes in the Cup final. There's individual awards. Most of them went to Patrick Kane, which is kind of gross, of the Chicago Blackhawks. He finished with 94 points. So obviously the scoring of this game wasn't that good. Obviously you could mess around with it, but like medium is what I typically use, and obviously it's not good enough here to get to like more realistic numbers. But if you turn it to high, then it gets like unrealistic in terms of save percentage and stuff. So yeah, Patrick Kane won the RF with 94 points. And then the Hart, Norris went to Thomas Chabot of Ottawa. Lady Byng went to Kane. Calder went to Dawson Mercer of the Devils. Conn Smythe went to Jack Eichel. Vezina went to Vasi. And Darcy Kemper went to Jennings. Masterton went to Danny DeKaiser. Jack Adams went to Ottawa's coach. They finished second in the Atlantic with 110 points, which is also like second overall in the NHL in the regular season. Selke went to Ryan O'Reilly, not really a surprise there. Lindsay went to Kane, and the Rocket Richard went to Ovi. And not really a surprise there. In terms of free agency, because obviously this is one of the games that has the coaches, and couldn't find a coach that like fit nicely with Andy Greene's player preferences. So I basically like, and we also really have anyone leave in free agency. Like, well, I guess we had Char retire, but we can replace him with Salo in like the second pairing with Dobson, and like no one else really needs to get replaced because everyone else kind of came back. So without like having a defined coach to kind of find players to fit with, no point really kind of can't really. The only way we try to get new lineup people would be like to trade people away and sign new people. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to kind of roll with and see how things go in the next season. Expectations, I guess it's probably good for us to make the playoffs, I suppose, as we made it this season with like kind of basically essentially the same roster. So we'll have to see, I guess. Hopefully we do, and we can go on a further run in the second round in the Cup. Because I have a pretty strong suspicion Andy Greene's probably going to retire this next season, you would think. Honestly surprised he didn't retire after this first one, but I guess it is what it is. It's bad. Good thing that is what it is. It's good. They have another shot at winning the Cup in this one, but we'll have to see. So I'm going to stop talking for now. In a couple seconds, it'll be the 22-23 season recap. We'll see if we can make good on my predictions. Okay, as you can see here, we're going to have the retired player screen at the end of the 22-23 season, and Andy Greene has retired. So obviously that means we didn't win the Cup. This was another unsuccessful jersey quest, which sucks, but kind of just quickly recap the season here and wrap up. But I guess let's look at his career stats for this year. So yeah, he played 79 games, 4 goals, 8 assists, 12 points. And then the playoffs, he had 3 goals in 19 games. I'm going to back up. It's going to continue on to the draft. So we're going to have to wait a second to continue recapping. Yeah, Joe Thornton's a coach. Andy Greene is a scout. And whatever. Continue simming. Okay, yeah, so let's look. So as you see, Flames won the Cup. Let's kind of get into the rest of it. So she finished with a 42, 29, and 11 record, which was good for 95 points. And third in the Metropolitan Division. Matt Barzal was leading scorer with 87 points, 29 goals, 58 assists. And we saw, obviously, Andy Greene's stats earlier. In terms of playoffs, round 1 we got matchup against the Capitals. Won games 1-3, 5-1, 2-1, 3-1. Capitals won game 4, 2-1, and we won game 5, 4-3. Round 2 we got matched up against our rivals, the Hurricanes. They won the first 2 games, 5-1, 4-2. We won the next 2, 4-1, and 3-0. Carolina won game 5, 3-2. Then we won the next 2, 7-2, and 4-1 to make it to the conference finals against the Maple Leafs. Another 7-game series, but this time we fell. Toronto won game 1, 4-3. We then won the second game by the same score. They blew us out 9-3 in game 3, tied it up with a resounding 5-0 win in game 4. Toronto won Game 5, 2-0. They won Game 6, 2-1. I think it was in overtime. And then Game 7, we lost in overtime, so a heartbreaker to the Maple Leafs, 3-4. And then they went on and got swept by the Calgary Flames. In terms of playoff scoring, you kind of see on the home screen here, Barzal had 10 goals, 14 assists for 24 points in 19 games, pretty good. And we saw earlier Andy Greene had 3 goals. In terms of kind of the other awards and stuff, let's check it out. So, Cup we saw with the Flames. President's Trophy went to Blackhawks, who finished with 106. They were tied with the Maple Leafs. They must have had some sort of whatever tiebreaker. And then, as we saw, Flames beat the Leafs. Individual awards, Claude Giroux on the Hurricanes, leading scorer in the league with 95 points. Barzal was 10th with his 87. Giroux also won the Hart. Norris went to Dougie Hamilton at the Devils. Lady Byng went to Kirill Kaprizov, who finished tied with Barzal with 87 points. Calder went to William Eklund of the Sharks. Conn Smythe went to Matthew Tkachuk. Vezina went to Matt Murray. Bit of a shocker there. And then Darcy kept running back-to-back Jennings, but this time with the Blackhawks instead of the Avalanche. Masterton went to Dylan DeMello. Jack Adams went to the Sharks coach. Ryan O'Reilly went to the Selke again. Lindsay went to Drew. And then Rocket Richard with Austin Matthews. I think he finished with like 52 goals, I think, in the regular season. So obviously, as we saw, Andy Greene retired, so this is another failure, which sucks, but not much we could do about it. Kind of did my best. I made it to the conference finals. Like basically an overtime goal away from making it to the cup final. So kind of sucks. But as I said, not much we could do about it. So that's it for this series. Next on the channel should be another Kit Quest. Not sure who or what yet, but find out later, I suppose. But yeah, sucks being another failure. But as I said, not much we can do about it. But hopefully you enjoyed this series, and then hopefully check out the next series as well. Thank you.